Emile Leblanc sets a tanker to be spotted. Ken applies the handbrake to a tank car. The two locomotives are called GP38-2s. They're 2,000 horsepower each and made by General Motors Electromotive Division. Kept busy throwing switches, applying and releasing handbrakes, pulling coupler pins. There's also air lines and valves to take care of. The engineer is constantly in contact with the train crew by walkie-talkie. He manipulates the throttle and brake levers steadily while shunting these cars. When the empty cars have replaced the full ones and any empty tank cars pulled out, the train will change operating ends and head back to North Bay, retracing the route. Again, the scenic wilderness landscape is evident.
Hey, Pete, I think you'd just like to come and work with us every day.
Mr. Farmer, won't you please listen to me? 'Cause I got a street down in Tennessee. Keep moving me on, keep rolling along. Reach over the coal, I drive the road and move me on. Yeah, Mississippi, did take the profit and the rattles fast as in a southern land. Keep moving me on,
again, we cross the Ottawa River, this time from Quebec to Ontario, with the town of Mattawa in view. At Mattawa, the crew will again hook up with the westbound main line and head for North Bay, only to do this all over again tomorrow.
Hello and welcome to a slice of roast. Yes, I know I keep changing the name every week, but it just seems to go with everything lately. It's a slice of roast because that's what we're doing tonight. We're roasting. We are roasting Gibby Lattiser, Frank Dettori, and Philip Barrett. Three very prominent gentlemen in our community, and we're very fortunate to be here tonight for the roast. As you can see behind us, the tables are all set. The people are all milling about out in the Salle de Jarne, getting ready for a night full of laughter and lots of good stories, I'm sure, so stay tuned. With me now, I would like to introduce Sheila York. Many of you, I'm sure, know Sheila, and Sheila is one of the prime organizers behind tonight's event, the roast for Gibby, Frank, and Philip. Why this event?
Well, we're doing this again for Holy Trinity Restoration Fund. As I'm sure you're all aware, we have now got a new roof. We have repaired windows. We now have a new basement floor, so it's quite safe in our schoolroom. But with the bad roof that we had, we have internal water damage, so we have to get those walls fixed. When we get those fixed, we then have to get the church painted inside. So that's why we're trying to still raise money.
That's great, and you really do come up with quite innovative ways to raise money. Last year was the international supper that we had, and this year the roast. Where are these ideas coming from?
Well, we just tried to come up with something different, something new for Temiskaming to try and attract people.
Well, it's working, obviously. Did you see the people out there?
Yes, I did.
Well, that's great. And what can we expect tonight?
Well, we hope it's going to be very light-hearted and a great deal of fun.
And at the same time, we're raising money for a good cause.
A very good cause, yes.
Well, listen, good luck and thank you and congratulations. It looks like it's going to be a wonderful success.
Thank you, Anne-Marie.
Good evening, everybody. I'm pleased to welcome you tonight. You will have to bear with me tonight. I've learned at the last minute I was going to do this since Mr. Gagnon has a problem with the tooth. But we'll get to that later. I would like to introduce to you our head table, starting at my left, the extreme left, Thérèse Barrett. Philippe Barrett. Rosemary Elsa. Ida Elsa. Marie Stone. Frank Dettori.
It is a pleasure for me this evening to cook Gibby. Tonight, Gibby is salad. He could have easily been the ham. But Frank preferred the roast beef. And Rose might have liked the dessert, and that might have been nice for a change for her anyways. I've known Gibby for some 25 years. He's a good friend and one with remarkable qualities. Nowadays, the buzzwords in the education circle are that a person through their lifetime will follow a path of numerous careers. I believe Gibby's been a pioneer and inventor of this philosophy. because Gibby's worn many hats. For example, you'll remember Gibby at Tembec was the young personnel officer, but then Charlie came, and so Gibby moved to the big city and wore this hat. It's the E.B. Eddy hat. There he was a safety officer. He had ingeniously set up a mannequin to physically demonstrate or track the various work-related accidents. Unfortunately, the mannequin got so banged up after a week, he had to resort to a new idea. Gib and Rose missed Temiskaming, so they returned to wear another Tembec hat. And that was because Gibby remembered that when Frank had left him with an open invitation to come back, and should things didn't work out in the big city of Ottawa, he became operations manager in charge of the finishing department, not the fishing department. That comes later. It was another success. And in a short time, he had the department humming with a number of fewer crews, and Keith Jones, he was delighted. His head was beginning to itch again, so when the opportunity came up for a job in the public sector, he jumped in. As hospital director, Gibby continued his ways of cost cutting without compromising the needs of his clientele. That is why today most of his staff are employed only on a half-time basis. Having somewhat of an entrepreneurial aptitude, Gibby wanted to maintain a quality service and couldn't do this within the level of provincial budget or funding provided to him. So he created a non-profit organization to raise monies needed to fund ongoing services. He's recently teamed up with the USA to market some form of hospital practice manual, which he's begun to market in Quebec and possibly to the other parts of the country. He stands to make thousands of dollars for his non-profit organization / slush fund. Gibby's been able to achieve all of these things without interfering with his other extracurricular activities, such as fishing, hunting, and spending leisure time at the camp. There he wears another hat. I couldn't find anything else but the one making that. There he wears probably the preferred one. Some of us believe he wears this one more often than his hospital hat. Hey, why not? Any hard-working public sector employee should have 2 to 3 months off each year. Which reminds me, how were the holidays last week? What strikes me the most about Gibby is his eternal optimism. When you set an idea, he won't let it go. In some cases, it leads to success, but sometimes one should learn to go with your gut feeling and say no, because it could lead to disaster. I'm sure there's a lot of people here tonight that let themselves get convinced by Gib to tackle something they weren't really comfortable with. An example, I bought a cottage a few years ago, and I wanted to do some renovations, so I had just finished bulldozing a road down to it, We needed to bring in some materials and give my helper convince me to drive down the road so that we could be closer to unload. Needless to say, it took us a lot more time getting out of there compared to the time it took us to unload. As mentioned, Gibby loves and adores cottage life. Those of us who own cottages in this area close it up when the snow flies. Not Gibby. A few years ago, he bought some chains for his truck so that he could use his highway from home more often, like year-round. Gibby was so happy with their performance, his enthusiasm got away on him. Have you ever tried to move a parked truck? Jean-Louis and I were sitting up in my truck and watched Gibby race backwards in the bush with these chains on, only to come to an abrupt stop on Jean-Louis' truck. Chains do give that extra traction. A bunch of us go on an annual fishing trip. Tom Cavanaugh has been Gibby's partner for many years. One evening while fishing, it started to rain. On our way back to camp, we got lost in the fog. It got so bad that we had to tie up the boats together to preserve gas and ensure we wouldn't lose sight of each other. At around 2 a.m. in the morning, we could sense Tom getting quite impatient with Gib, because all he wanted to do was look at the map in order to try to guide us home, despite the fact you couldn't even see the shoreline. Our eternal optimist, Gibby. He did find the camp minutes later, but it wasn't because he had found it on the map. Gibby believes that anything that moves in the wilderness is got to be good to eat. Feel free to ask him what's best. I know he'll go to great lengths to capture something he could cook up for his buddies. A couple of years ago, again, on a fishing trip, we were visited by two geese. Gibby, licking his chops, decided he would convince them to visit the oven. Unfortunately, or fortunately for them, they couldn't be netted. Gibby did spend the afternoon feeding them bread and beer, hoping they would be slowed down a bit. They must have liked what Gib fed them because they were with us for the rest of the week. Our eternal optimist. Being an outdoorsman, hunting is also on the agenda. Though I've not had the opportunity to accompany Gib on a hunting expedition, I've heard he's pretty knowledgeable. He did have to go through an apprenticeship period. Somebody told me that in his earlier years, he mistook a farmer's cow for a moose. By the way, did you see that farmer with that prize cow? I still don't know today how this could have happened because I've never known a moose to have a cowbell. I could go on for a long time telling stories about Gib, but I'll leave that up to him. He did buy a boat once without telling Rose. When Rose questioned him about it, his answer was, "It's not mine, it's Frankie's, our granddaughter." We just about got involved with the worm raising business. Gib was convinced that this was going to be the protein diet of the future. Luckily for me, a sudden change in chemical balance at the worm farm destroyed the whole inventory we were about to acquire. And